Good morning, everybody. I'm Anthony Russo. I lead product marketing here at Seismic, and I want to thank Rob for such a great intro and a look into sort of where our category and where enablement is going. And one of the things that I think really struck me was when he talked about the evolution of the tech stack within your go-to-market and all of the different pieces, and the fact you had AI bolted on the side of that. Like, that is something that you really need to think about as you sort of evolve what and how you're supporting your go-to-market teams. And we're going to talk a lot about that today. One of the other things you're also going to hear a lot about today is Aura, our seismic intelligence layer and AI part of our platform. And for those of you who haven't met it yet, let's give you a little intro to Aura and what it's all about. Let's roll it.
Telling you I'm ready to go, letting you know, cause I'm never alone. The ones that I roll with are incredibly known for getting down to the nitty gritty. If you're really with me, let's go. Moves made, dues paid, most talk but don't do a thing. We certified, observers I come through and give a true display. We champions, understand me standing under a victory canopy. Canopy the enemy was handing keys, ready to drive at top speed, let's get it out. Wake up, the victory's mine. On top, still on the grind. Gotta go get it right now, holla at me if you're with me. It's time. It'll take all we got, we gon' make it. Show the world that it's shining our greatness. Keep it real, never gon' fake this. So we make it, so we make it. Taking off, flying high like a spaceship. Take control, take a shot, what you waiting for? Keep it real, never gon' fake this. So we make it, so we make it.
What do you think? Pretty good? A lot of really exciting stuff as we sort of evolved our AI story over the last couple of years. And you'll see more of it here in this session as well as sort of throughout the day. So enablement has reached a level of maturity. It was built for a different age where people did things completely manually. But it's really changed within an AI-driven world. Sales reps and advisors expect things to happen in the moment of work. And it's no longer good enough just to provide content from what they were looking for. It has sort of evolved. And AI is driving a lot of that shift and a lot of that change. But as Robin mentioned, there are ways that AI can sort of evolve into different technologies. And I want to give you a couple examples of applications and things that we use every day where AI has improved the experience, and some areas where it may not have, and it's made it a little bit more challenging. So if you believe it, Spotify is 20 years old this year. Imagine that. You remember back in the day, remember when we used to buy music? Remember those days? Like, it's a kind of a crazy concept, and there may be some people in the audience like me who actually went to a store and you bought a CD for those like 2 Guns N' Roses songs that you really, really wanted. Like, again, you think about sort of the evolution of where that service has come. But when I look into Spotify, prior to AI, I'd have to go in, I'd have to find music, I'd have to search for it, I'd have to build my own playlists. All of that was done manually. So not long ago, Spotify added Gen AI to their application. Now, I come in to a home screen where I have personalized results. I have options, I have recommendations for music. What it does is it has context to what I listen to. It knows what I listen to, what I like, what I don't like, and I get that absolutely personalized experience based on the context because it knows what I'm listening to. Second, it does validation. So you can see through the green check mark here, I know as a subscriber, this is a Coldplay song. It's not someone from YouTube or it's not a cover band. So they use it to validate that this is music that is from this particular artist that you're serving up. So it validates the trust you have sort of behind that. And last is the governance of all of the content they have. And it's not just music. You think about it, it's audiobooks, it's podcasts, it's concert tickets, it's merchandise that they're actually serving up. You think about how often all of their content changes on a daily basis and the millions of users they have sort of worldwide. And to be able to manage all of that, they have different levels of subscribers, from free subscribers to premium, and how do you manage who sees what? So I want you to remember those 3 concepts around context, validation, and governance. Because we're going to come back to that in our story when we talk about Seismic. But what happens when AI doesn't do well and where an AI goes wrong? There's an example of that I'm going to present to you. How many people here flew in today? Like flew into, show of hands, a couple people flew in. I know we're in New York. So we've got 3 airports here, and it's always a little bit of an adventure to get in. It's more, I think, an adventure to get in an Uber to come into Manhattan, but that sort of varies. Well, back in January, there were a number of Air Canada passengers where adventure wasn't exactly the word that they would use. So Air Canada has an AI agent that is designed to rebook flights in the case of inclement weather. And in January, in Toronto, they had a massive ice storm. And the AI agent rebooked 1,200 passengers onto incorrect flights within a 60-minute period. So people going to Calgary were now going to Montreal. People going to Miami, they were now going to Chicago. I love Chicago, but have you been there in January? It's a little bit cold. So there were 2 things that happened there. One, the agent was getting real-time updates from Air Canada's operations system, and it couldn't handle the volume of requests in real time. So it was basically built for efficiency and effectiveness rather than accuracy. So it just churned through all of those results, which obviously resulted in a pretty poor experience for customers. The other thing is actually something, again, Rob mentioned, was there was no human in the loop built in. So when the agent ran around and said, like, well, I shouldn't be sending this guy to Calgary, there was no agent for them it ran autonomously. So it was a real challenge, in sort of things where that sort of goes wrong. I know we have a lot of folks that in financial services and regulated industries that are in the audience. Take that at scale. Imagine if an agent sent out pitch books to the wrong clients and did that at scale. Can you imagine like the downstream effects from that? So there are times where there's a real cost for when AI gets it wrong. But let's turn it back to enablement. So again, enablement was built in a different time and a different world. So as Rob said, it uniquely sits between the intersection of revenue, technology, and the customer. So now it's becoming more and more complex with more people in sort of the buying cycle, in sort of really looking at how do I get this deal across the finish line, or I have IT, especially with AI coming in, they're wanting to look at their different security reviews, and you have to look at it a little bit more closely, like as any new technology as you would. So, but it's really fundamentally changing not only how sellers and advisors work, but it's really changing the entire go-to-market motion. So it's not just sort of the sales process as you think about it. So, quick question for the audience. Who here once had a BlackBerry as their smartphone? A lot of folks in the audience. Now the more trusted question is, like, how many people still have one? Anybody? I saw a hand go up over here. So holding onto your QWERTY keyboard for dear life. So when I previewed this deck with my product marketing team, it just took them through the story, and I came through the BlackBerry piece. I have some team members who are earlier in their career, a little bit younger, and I asked them, I was like, hey, have you ever had a BlackBerry? And one person said, like, I think my dad had one. If you ever want to feel your age, I'll invite you to one of my team meetings. But the reason for the BlackBerry reference was, so for more than 10 years of my career, I was in product management before I went over the dark side of marketing. And my first job in product, I was a BlackBerry product manager at Bell South Wireless Data, which became Singular Wireless, which became AT&T. So it was the first time in my career that I had to think about what a sales pitch was, pricing, a demo, positioning. What was I going to give to the sales team to be able to pitch and position? So there was no sales enablement in the before times. Way back in the day, sales enablement didn't exist. We had to train and enable the teams, our sales teams ourselves. But at the time, we really only shipped devices and software 2, maybe 3 times a year. So I had this really long window of time to be able to prepare all of that content. And we had a very predictable way to be able to train and enable the sales team. Now, let's take a look at how AI has changed that, and that's evolved. Max Schoening is a design and a product leader. Has been in Silicon Valley for 20 years. He's led product and design teams at Google and GitHubs, and now he leads product and design at Notion, which is a workspace and productivity tool that has over 100 million users worldwide. I listened to an interview with him. He was on a podcast that I listened to a couple of weeks ago, and he inevitably got the question, how has AI changed how your product teams are building and shipping product? And what he said was, AI's been amazing. We've been able to take our ship times. We've gone from monthly to weekly to even days to deliver real features, not just UI fixes and bugs and everything else, but real material features that customers are using. But the thing he said next I thought was really interesting. He also said, my product team spends significantly more time with marketing, sales, and PR. Because at the velocity that we ship, it's so important to make sure that the downstream teams who are communicating to our customers, for all of our go-to-market teams to understand what we're building and why. And another thing he said too is that if you look at sort of where Notion is going, he said a lot of our revenue and a lot of our user base are enterprise customers and customers in regulated industries who have more challenges being able to ingest new features and be able to have a longer rollout time for all of them. And he said one thing that he said, I don't want our customers to lose trust in us just because we're shipping faster. They need to understand what we're building, why, and why it's important to them. So it's really changing the entire it's a good example of like changing the entire go-to-market motion and how that's looking to evolve. So I think we can establish AI is everywhere. But the thing that's happening is the results aren't really what people are seeing. I think like Rob also mentioned, like, has everybody done AI for AI's sake? Like, again, we've had that, at Seismic and trying to look at how we're using it efficiently and effectively. So, but really, how does it drive results and outcomes that go-to-market teams expect? So one of the things is trying to give it context. And there's reasons why AI doesn't really understand your business. But there's a couple of concepts about why that you really need to focus on to help it give you that understanding. One is around your content. Is it approved? Is it the latest version? Is it the latest messaging of what you've actually done? How it speaks to your customers in the ever-evolving side? Your workflows, structured, business logic, processes that you've set up within so that how your business runs on a day-to-day basis. And last, your customers. Really understanding who they are, what they're looking to drive, what outcomes are they looking for, and understanding those relationships. Really, these are the three sort of key tenets to make sure that you really understand how AI can really understand what you're doing and how that leverages. So I've had a lot of conversations with customers over the last sort of 18 months, as a lot of our Seismic team members here have, about how do I think about my AI strategy and what should I do, where should I go? And I can tell you how a lot of those conversations start. So I think everybody has seen every single tool that's on this screen. So a lot of times our customers say, what I've heard them call it is, this is my front door. I need a front door for my sales teams to be able to work. And everybody wants sort of that holy grail of like the one place where I can send my sellers. Because you think it back to the tech stack example, there's a lot of different systems behind there that the sellers and advisors have to use on a day-to-day basis. But this is sort of my front door, and how do I take this and add that on top of the content that's underneath? So that trusted content foundation, all of my content, all of my CRM data, all of the history of all of the deals and everything that has sort of transpired in what you're looking for. And this is sort of where customers start. And they were like, well, why can't I just put Claude on all of my content? Well, again, going back to sort of the Air Canada example, that you can't just put an AI tool on top and just sort of hope for the best. There isn't content and context. I think everybody has seen hallucinations. You put something into Claude or ChatGPT, and it comes back with something. You're like, where did it get that particular answer? What the answer is this intelligence layer, which is where Aura comes in. Is that you have a layer in the middle that On the left-hand side, it understands the context of your business in terms of the deals, the content, your messaging, all that branded content, the compliant content that you have if you're in a regulated industry. And then all of the workflows and agents on the right-hand side to be able to enable that, as well as our core platform of features that digital sales rooms, live send, programs, all of those things that underpin programs and everything that you do every single day. This middle layer is what brings it all together. So taking that and looking at the foundational layer of Aura in the middle that sits in between. We want to meet your sellers and your advisors where they are with whatever front door or whatever AI application that you want to be able to run through. We've had a extensibility sort of as our strategy at Seismic for a long time. You've always been able to sort of pipe Seismic through Agentforce and Slack and other applications. Now, there's more that are added to, God bless you, that are on sort of stage here. So we want to meet your teams where they actually work. But one of the things that is incredibly important about making this all work is about that data governance that drives context to AI agents. So one of the things that we talk to, like any new customer that comes to Seismic, is you really need to make sure the cleanliness of your data. Is it up to date? And do you have the right information in building that right taxonomy that for your structure as you go forward to make sure it really understands your business? So I'm going to give you an example of a sales rep that's looking for a piece of content. So I bring up our Aura chat window, I type in a prompt, and I'm looking for a piece of content for a sales call that I'm having. And our search agent is running to try to find that particular content. So it looks like this, but there's so much that's going on in the background beyond this with just sort of a simple prompt. So what it's doing in the background is looking at 4 different areas. One, it's looking at versioning. Do you have the latest version of this? Are you looking at outdated content? So making sure that the AI agent is looking at the latest document and latest information that you have. 2, permissioning. I think everybody here has a content library or content repository where you have a level of permissioning on it. You don't want everybody to see everything. And you don't want an agent accessing or pulling a piece of content that someone doesn't have access to. Again, if you think about that example in a compliant or regulated industry, you don't want a piece of content going to someone that it actually shouldn't. Third is the business aspect. Does it understand your pricing? Does it understand the markets that you're in? Does it understand the product messaging that your marketing teams have developed to really target your customers? And last, those buyers, to really understand who is the audience, what is that deal cycle now, what stakeholders are they actually talking to, and to give that level of context. So these things are so important for making sure the agent knows what's actually happening and going. And then going past the governance piece, taking a look at all of these different pieces. Now it's doing this in real time. So it's taking a look at all of these attributes and tags and all of that information in that sort of real-time request. Like, this is sort of where the magic happens behind the scenes and where you need this layer of governance. So if you look at, again, going back to the example of just putting ChatGPT on a bunch of content, none of this happens behind the scenes. This is really where, the value is. So in the end of my story, I get a result. I get a trusted and governed piece of content as my result that I know that is grounded in the right results and is attributed, so I know where it's come from. So that's great. I have the right piece of content that I was looking for to look for my meeting. So now, this was just a simple example of a simple prompt and sort of how things work, but now I want to go a little bit deeper into talk a little bit more about our agents and sort of what we're doing in the platform. And to do that, I'm going to invite up Aly Smith from our sales engineering team.
It's fine. It's cool. You can say that we...
Thanks, Anthony. Hey, everybody. Good morning. So we know that revenue teams today are overwhelmed by complexity. There's more content, there's more systems, there's more pressure to execute faster and, of course, more consistently. But most systems still require us to manually bridge those gaps between information and workflows and teams. Now, for years, we have asked people to adapt to systems. But AI is finally giving us that opportunity to reverse that relationship. We're moving from systems that simply store information to intelligent systems that actually help organizations execute. So let's imagine that I'm preparing for a big customer meeting. Historically, that process meant digging through meeting notes, CRM updates, content libraries, and scattered systems just to understand where the account stands. But with the Aura Prep agent, I can simply just ask a question and immediately get caught up on the account. Aura's pulling together insights from previous meetings, identifying any new stakeholders, highlighting likely discussion topics, and helping me understand where risk and opportunity exist before this meeting even starts. Search becomes conversational, context becomes immediate, execution becomes faster. And because this experience maintains context across the interaction, I can immediately pivot from preparation right into action. So in this case, I'm going to ask Aura to recommend some relevant content and attach it directly to my meeting. But helping sellers move faster is really only a part of the opportunity that we have here, because we also need to make sure that teams are prepared to execute those conversations effectively too. And historically, coaching has been limited by time and scale. Managers can't practice every scenario with every seller. But with AI, I'm able to launch a role-play scenario that's built around my actual deal context. This AI buyer challenges me on the same compliance concerns that my customer is going to have. And I can respond by explaining how Fortress can provide that governance, security, and oversight to address the concerns. Now, in a world full of AI tools, governance and trusted context become critical differentiators, because AI is only as valuable as the quality, accuracy, and control of the information that's feeding it. So immediately after this role play, I get a scorecard with strengths and gaps and coaching recommendations. And here we see coaching become continuous, measurable, and scalable. But after the meeting, that execution can often break down. Buyers lose track of their commitments, sellers lose visibility into momentum, and that's really where we see digital sales rooms and mutual action plans come in to address that. Instead of managing follow-up across emails and disconnected systems, Seismic now creates that shared space where both my customer and I stay aligned on next steps and responsibilities and progress. Everyone understands what's happening, what's next, and how this deal is moving along. But as we've talked about, the future of AI isn't about forcing teams into just another application. It's really about bringing that trusted intelligence into the places where work's already happening. So here, I'm actually choosing to bring Seismic's trusted content and governance right into Claude. And this is happening through the Aura MCP server. And because of this, instead of just returning those generic responses, Claude can actually securely access approved Seismic content, understand all of those permissions, and generate follow-up communication that's grounded in trusted go-to-market context. So in this example, you're going to see me ask Claude to draft a follow-up email using a pre-approved email template after this customer meeting. It's going to automatically recommend and include relevant Seismic content via a live send that's tied to the conversation I just had. See, this output here isn't just productive and polished and very nice looking to my customer, it's also governed. Every recommendation respects permissions, my company's branding, my approved content, and organizational controls. And really what you're seeing here is the difference between that generic AI productivity and the revenue-ready AI execution. Wherever your teams work, Claude, like you see here, ChatGPT, Gemini, search can inform that execution, coaching reinforces that readiness, shared workspaces maintain that alignment across the buyer and seller relationship, and the governed intelligence is going to flow across every single interaction. This is bigger than just AI layered onto workflows. It's really the shift from systems of record to intelligent systems of execution. Anthony, back to you.
Thanks, Aly. So everything that Aly just showed is available in Seismic today. So we're really excited. We have our latest product launch that ships actually today. with a lot of the new capabilities that you've seen Aly from here. And we'll be able to demo that later today if you want to see it. But we're releasing a whole set of new capabilities around Aura itself, chat enhancements, and an enhancement to that particular experience. New agents, which Aly just showed you, and as well as core capabilities within our platform, new capabilities around digital sales room, live send, different roles and permissions update, and different integrations for bringing in other data into Seismic. So as we think about the rest of the day, so there's a couple of sessions that I think if you want to sort of double click on that, one thing that Rob and a lot of people talked about was that change management aspect. So thinking about your enablement program strategically and sort of how do you scale it from where you are now into something that is really effective from your organization. So Dean's going to go through that and how he works with a lot of our customers around the world to be able to do that. We've talked a lot about regulated industries and specifically around financial services. So I think you get, again, going with the Dave and Craig show. So this afternoon, Dave Myron's going to take us through like how we think about the product in the financial services space and where our vision is there and sort of how Craig sees the industry sort of evolving in that space. And last, if you want to double click on Aura, like Aly and I just touched sort of on the surface of sort of how we see Aura and the intelligence layer, take a look and go from Joe from our sales engineering team and Chris, who leads our AI product team. We'll give you a deeper dive into Aura as well as the different use cases and agents that we have coming out. So we covered a lot of ground today, a lot of different areas, but there's just a couple things that I want to leave you with. So as you think about this, one, that the enablement is changing. But it's not just enablement for our sellers and our advisors. The entire go-to-market motion is shifting. So you really have to think about that as you think about enabling your teams and thinking about what that motion is. Like either with or with AI, that go-to-market motion is changing significantly. Second, you're really looking at AI. When it goes wrong, there are real big impacts to that. So you really have to think about your larger overall strategy and making sure that you build something that you can trust within your AI strategy and within your AI tech stack. And last, trusted content, context, and governance are the key foundations to have a really solid AI strategy when it comes to your enablement. Okay? So we're going to leave it there. A lot more stuff to come out. Thank you very much for spending the day. I hope you have a wonderful day with Seismic. And I'm going to turn it back over to Evelyn and Craig.